What's going on, my friends? It's the Cassius Morris Show. Thank you for tuning in for episode number 182. Naturally, it goes without saying that I love interviewing somebody with immense talent. But above that, I love using this platform to connect, or in this case, reconnect with someone who I know on the air. It captures a feeling, something you hear in the mics, something you see in people's faces that I think is nearly impossible to recreate or to capture elsewhere. And in this case, this is really, the dude on this podcast today is really, really special to me. He goes by the name of RUSUR. He's a multi-talented musical artist. He's a singer. He's a songwriter. He's a rapper. And he's a creative visionary. And we legitimately connected in grade 1 and kindergarten. I'm talking not we were in the same school or not we were in the same school district. No. Kindergarten, grade 1, we were in the same classroom with the same teachers, and we went through it in French school. And that's how I connected with this dude. So after that, he ended up changing schools, I guess. See, I don't remember much about those years of my life. I never had an easy time through school, but I remember first starting school was very, very difficult for me. And so I feel like I sort of blocked out a lot of those years of my life in my head. But one of the only things that I remember about that period of my life vividly from being in school is my relationship with RUSUR. Just flashes of moments with him or talking about him with my parents, or maybe encounters at student-teacher meetings, just random things, and I remember these things with him. It always does a number on my mind, and I guess it's sort of a head trip when you feel like you're supposed to meet somebody and it's fate. It's, I don't know if everybody believes in fate. To be honest with you, I don't know if I believe in fate all the time. I do believe in it in certain circumstances. There's certain things that happen. Like, just to use an extreme example, look at Nirvana. The fact that all those dudes were in Seattle, and they all were there, and they all had the similar interests at the same time, and their music went so... Or the fact that Ozzy and Black Sabbath were all in Birmingham, England at the same time with the same... It's just certain things, to me, just seem a little too well orchestrated not to be fate. And I think connecting with RUSUR in kindergarten and in grade 1 was one of those things. And it's such an overt display of it, too. We didn't stay in the same school through middle school or high school. We didn't stay in contact through middle school or high school. We both moved around and lived in different places. He ended up in British Columbia. I ended up in Nova Scotia for 5 years and back here in Edmonton, Canada. And we ended up reconnecting about 3.5 years ago. And again, just one of those things. I feel like it's just meant to happen. I feel like he was meant to be involved in my life in some way, and I was meant to be involved in his life in some way. So it's a relationship that I really value. I consider this dude family. Not only that, he's one of the only people that I feel that I've really communicated with on the come up that really gets it. This is a business that everybody, and when I say this, I mean entertainment, music, acting, it's all sort of tied in, comedy. This is a business that everyone thinks they know. And that's the really big problem with it. I would say 90% of people don't know this business at all. And a lot of those people are trying to get into it. People just don't realize the pressures that can be put on you to move in different creative directions that you may not want to go, but there's money involved and you end up doing it anyway. And how the money that can come to you can seem like a great advantage to you, but it's not at the time. There's just so many fine points to this. And when I'm talking to RUSUR on the phone, he gets these fine points. I get these fine points. And it's great to have someone who's like-minded to just go over this stuff with, because the entertainment business is a flytrap, folks. I say it about LA, but LA isn't really. There's people who move to LA to go to university to become a nurse. The entertainment business is a fly trap. So if you're going to put yourself in a fly trap, and get out of it unscathed, you need to know how to navigate that and how to maneuver it, because 99% are going to get caught up by that trap. One person will go to the other side of it. I don't know if it's the greatest analogy that I've ever come up with, but it's meant to get people suckered in. And the reason that I see so much success in RUSUR's future is because he will never be a victim of these pitfalls. He's determined to be himself, and he's determined to spread the message that he wants to send. And I'm 100% the same way. And that's why we get along so well. So I really see him going a long way in this business, and I'm really happy to see everything he's been doing. Make sure you go check out on SoundCloud the new tape by RUSUR, Lil Flex tape. It is out now. There's a link in the description wherever you're watching or listening as we speak. So go check that out right after this interview. Also check out the acoustic version of The Distance, which is included on the tape, featuring Blair Hansen. Go check that out. Both great versions. We play a little clip of it on this podcast, as well as a clip of an unreleased single. We play the majority of it and talk about it and give some backdrop on that, as well as the official release date. The first official RUSUR interview. This is super exciting. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's run it. Thank you for joining me, my man. I really appreciate you coming on.
Feels good to be here, man. First interview on the RUSUR project. I'm feeling good.
Definitely, and it's an honor to have you for the first interview. Talk about evolution, man. It seems like every time I talk with you and I connect with you, you're at a different phase in your artistry, although it's not always that big of a time span in between. I think the last time we
100%.
connected was 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. I think we connected like early March, and honestly, it's just really cool to see also your evolution as well, but if you think about it, with the amount of hours that we have in a day and the amount of time that we can dedicate to our craft, especially in these times, there's going to be exponential growth with everybody. It's like the neo-renaissance.
Yes. Hey, that's a good way to put it. And it is unavoidable, and it's an interesting thing. So let's talk about the project that you just dropped, Lil Flex tape. This is a really interesting project for you, because typically you've dropped more of your traditional roots singing. That's sort of how you got started. So talk to me about the evolution on this project. There's great singing on this, but there's also rap verses as well.
Yeah, like the main point about this mixtape is to start a conversation. Mm-hmm. A lot of people know me as a singer. However, if I have better bars than you and all you do is rap, then you got to step up your game. Many people don't know, however, that primarily the first thing that I pretty much got started with, because I've always been a huge fan of Will Smith, always a big fan of Will Smith, was rapping. And I've been rapping for a long time, but obviously on the commercial side of things, things get a little more lucrative when you're writing some pop, when you're writing some melodies, right?
They certainly can, definitely.
Exactly. So I was always practicing, and I just kind of kept it on the hush until we finally can establish ourselves and be like, here we are. Let's start a conversation. Let's start a culture around this. No more believing that you're just talking all this grandiose, I'm amazing. Where are your bars? Here are mine, and I'm a singer. Where are yours?
Yes, I like that. And it's so nice to have an element of a friendly competition, because the thing about you, I always felt like you're almost a little too humble, man, because and I aspire to be that way, to have the level of skill that you have and have the outlook that you have is something that I think, and I mean it, a lot of people could benefit from. Talk to me about realizing that aspect, because it is a very commercial game that we're in music. And when you look at a lot of the biggest rappers, they do branch out into more melodic stuff. So at what point did you have that internal dialogue?
Well, before I answer that question, remember the question that you asked, because I want to address, you seeming that I seem humble. I want to almost elaborate on that, because I actually find humbleness to be a little irritating. For example, when Jay-Z is on the plane, you see that video, talks to this old lady, oh, you probably don't know who I am, but not my name is Jay-Z. I don't like that because he's not acknowledging the impact that he's made on the world. And it doesn't matter if she knows him or not, but prefacing it with, you probably don't know me, is like, it discredits all the work that he's done. I think it's really important for us to celebrate the things that we have done in our lives, the things that we have done for the community around us, and to lift people up. I want to celebrate myself so that I can celebrate you as well. You know?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and I guess what I'm getting at is that, you know, obviously you're confident in your work because you have the confidence to put it out, but
Totally.
it doesn't affect the way that you treat other people. I agree with you. You never want to be undermined, but I hate to see people get to the position where it affects their interactions.
Totally. I think the biggest thing is like how people need to understand that, you know, I have never really demanded respect. I haven't like made something be like, respect me now. It's okay. I wrote a #1 album in Poland. That is respectable. That's not even like there's no question about it.
And you leave it in their lap, whether if they can acknowledge that or not, that's up to them because it is what
exactly. Exactly. It is what it is. At the end of the day, they just choose to sit in certain circles. You know what I mean? I mean, talking about that, the tape, you know, there were some little people, you know, coming in and out and choosing to not be a part of my circle when I wanted to celebrate with them. But, you know, people make their choices. Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, that's all too common in this game. I think it's, you know, if the common odds are 1 out of 10, then it's 1 out of 40 people in entertainment that sort of have the right mindset and grasp for that. Talk to me about the culture in where you're at in BC, British Columbia.
Yeah.
Is it a supportive environment between artists? Is it very competitive? What's that like?
Well, what I realized is that even when I was in high school, you know, everyone's got their own groups.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think people don't really understand, like, what I personally want to do is help realize other people's goals. I am essentially a glorified hype man, you know, like I want to do all of this to be like, yo, check out this dope dude, check out this dope girl, you know, check out these dope people. I want to lift the entire community with me. But people don't understand, like, they want to be successful, but in order to be successful, you need to collaborate with the people around you, because the more people that work together, the brighter the beacon is. So the community right now, there are some pockets of, you know, artists and things like that. But in my opinion, I mean, this can go around the entire globe. A lot of people are very complacent. They got this small town mentality of, it's good for, like, I'm okay, I'm good for now, but I want to see the best in people. I love everybody, meaning that I want their best. And so I want to cultivate this mentality where it's like, when you win, I win. Yeah. It's that group win, group love, you know, just let's lift everybody up so that everyone can reap the rewards.
Right. Not the gimme, gimme, gimme and get away and I'm going to hide in the corner and eat mine. You know what I mean? It's like that's, and that is basically the nature to date of this business. But 100%. It's interesting to see people like yourself, people like a lot of the other artists that I know that are moving differently. And when you really think about it, who's going to be running this game in 10, 15 years? Them or, you know what I mean? So do you think that 100%. There's potential for it to change?
Well, it's like, it is possible that it can change. It's just, it's in terms of perspective, right? So if we're talking about the industry, a lot of them, for example, even in my camp, we were working with some high profile people, you know, because there's like instant returns, right? Based on their numbers, right? Mm-hmm. However, those are short-term gains, and the industry definitely, I think the industry definitely sees that, like, we can make money here and then they can be disposed of and we can find another person. Yeah. But we need to think about, I think the industry needs to kind of think about, in terms of legacy, how much profit can come from a legacy, right? So you look at Bob Marley, He definitely, I'm sure he didn't make as much money as some pop artists today during his lifetime.
Yeah.
However, anyone associated to him can make profit through him. Like the Wailers are still touring.
They made more dead than he made alive. I would bet on it.
Exactly. And it's because he left a legacy. What he created was a feeling around this person, and anybody surrounded by him, you're good people, right? So when we create a legacy, that you stretch that money to like, it's not even defined. Like I'm sure, like you could be like 3 generations down from Bob Marley. Oh, Bob Marley is my great great uncle. Oh shit, man, crazy, right?
Yeah, dude. I was just reaching for my Bob Marley lighter. I'm one of the suckers, man. I mean, I'm
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm a culprit. And it's
exactly.
true. You saw Tupac talk about it as well. You know, how it's just one of those things. And you know, those short-term gains, I think it's defined in a lot of ways. It can be defined in views, like you said, and in like clout-ish ways, and
Yeah.
it can be defined by money. You know, have you
Mhm.
ever been approached by like for a deal financially that maybe was really enticing financially but wasn't right for you, sort of thing?
A lot of the times it's like I was essentially like people were trying to steer me in a certain direction because it would be lucrative to do this way. It'd be
Yeah.
lucrative for me to make ignorant trap music because I'm good at songwriting and that's what's popular now. However, I was always reluctant on these short-term gains because just recently I dropped just a cover of Where Is the Love by Black Eyed Peas. And when I posted it on my Facebook, it got shared like over 150 times and like over 7,000 views. And for me, I'm like, that's awesome. That shows that people actually are listening to the words that I'm saying.
Yeah, it
So
resonates.
exactly. So if prior to that, I made um like some trap music, ignorant trap music, and then I dropped the Black Lives Matter, Where Is the Love, then the words wouldn't have as much
Yeah,
substance.
it wouldn't click.
Exactly. People are like, oh, he's just trying to, he's trying to go with the times. He's trying to be, trendy or whatever, right? And so that's like, people need to understand that your voice is the most valuable thing that you can have. So do not discount it.
I like that. And I prefer the way that you phrased it. And I apologize to have cut you off, but the words wouldn't have had as much substance. And that's a great way to put it. Here's my thing with the whole trap music is poppin' theory. So McDonald's is obviously the biggest restaurant in the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's that.
Mhm.
If I go and build a burger chain like McDonald's, now it's not going to be that successful because those people were plotting and scheming on that formula 40, 50 years ago. So if you look at Trap, Young Thug, Future, all these guys, they were working on this sound 15, 10 years ago before, maybe even before auto-tune was a thing. So for you to go and do that now, you're not going to be up there with those guys. I feel like that's what a lot of people are missing.
Well, there's a couple things. The first thing is the fact that like trap music is a lot easier to make. It's very easy to
Yes.
make and it's very easy to consume because you don't like, even lyrically, it's a lot easier to do. And you can tune it up, and then production wise, it's simple, right? So in terms of it on a business standpoint, a lot faster output, meaning that there's a lot more revenue gain. When it comes to on the second hand though, I think for the longest time, we have been as people discovering the world. The age of discovery is gone. The age of quality is now here. It has arrived. Now we have to understand to the finite details what we're doing by the things that we have already discovered. Like now we have to like understand that it's not an angle that helps us become successful. It used to be because that was the discovery stage, right?
Yes.
That was the point where people were like, oh, well, people didn't try singing like this. People didn't try talking about this. Exactly, right? Eminem was super popular because talking about some crazy ignorant stuff that was just outrageous. But now a lot of people are doing that. So what makes you different now? With so many people being able to put out music, what makes you different? And the answer is your story.
Yeah.
No one has your story. That is the most priceless thing that we can offer. So it's important that we live our lives and find ways to tell that story in a way that people want to consume it.
I completely agree. I mean, It's really is down to a science with a lot of these things. And you listen to a lot of the big artists. I think Wiz Khalifa is a great example of someone who tells his story. I think Drake is a
Yeah.
great example. And half of the time they're dropping names and they're shouting out streets and places I've never heard of, but
Hmm.
I'm jamming to it. And why? Because it's authentic. You know, I feel like people are
Exactly.
scared. Do you agree with that? Or, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, I mean, I think what it is that people don't know where to start.
Mm,
And that's why I'm really like, my favorite part about the entertainment biz are these interviews, because we can talk about these things. Like, where do we start if we don't know who we are, or we don't know what our voice is? Where do we start?
yeah.
And right, especially at this time in our lives in history, it's understanding that our voice matters, that your voice matters as much as mine does. And regardless of the platform that I have, it's around the people around you that you make the biggest impact. So
Yes.
what is your voice saying? You know,
Hmm.
there, for example, there are times when I'm doing songwriting where, I mean, I was doing some songwriting for some video games that we don't know if it's placed yet, but
Hmm.
I can't fully talk about those stuff, but
Part of the game.
it's part of the game. But I was writing in a like Young Thug type trap influenced type of songwriting.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to just talk about, hoes and money and all that. It was actually also in French, but I kind of created this like a success story type of song, celebration type of song, with that in mind, to just keep creating substance in any genre that we do.
Yeah. That's actually an interesting point. And I think when we talk about sort of evolution in a certain space, I'm curious to see this sound evolve, because I feel like the
Mm.
sound is trapped to the subject matter. But what
Totally.
if you could make an album like Future
Mhm.
per se, but it's talking about something better than pills
Totally.
and
100%.
cars.
Well, I mean, we're starting to see that crossover now. Like, for example, Toronto-based songwriter who wrote for Drake and them, Mustafa, the poet, he's working with James Blake, and he's talking about, like, he's a singer-songwriter, acoustic stuff, and he's talking about life in the trap, and that juxtaposition and contrast is super. Like, I saw the comments, I saw the people watching it. It was just super impactful, because people don't necessarily want to be hard all the time. And
Mhm.
especially right now, it's impossible. Like, to write club music is futile. So
Yeah.
people are actually, in this period of time, people are now changing their focus from just nonsensical things to things that actually matter. Let's look at things that actually matter and care about something for once, right? Now we
Yeah.
have time to care. So let's take that time and put in the work.
100%. And listening to the Lil Flex tape, there's so much subject matter in such a short period of time. There's a lot of messages being sent there. Talk to
Yeah.
me about the song Whack, talking about I mean, that for me, and here's what I'll tell you about that. Like, that's been stuck in my head,
Yeah.
first of all. But when I listen
Yeah.
to that song, I picture I'm walking down the street in New York City and I'm getting roasted by like a posse of people posted up. He's whack, his shoes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to name any names because I'm just about that love and positivity, but they
Oh, it's
knew,
based on
they know,
somebody.
they know who they are. But, I was pretty much just chilling in the studio, and one person came up to me and he's like, to be honest, like, your outfit is whack. You have no fashion game. And
What?
I was like blown away. I'm like, okay, wow.
Pause.
First of all, the the triggering thing for me was that throughout my school years, I was called like, you're gay, blah blah, which there's nothing wrong with that. However, the meaning behind it, like, they're just insulting me to
Yes.
be based on the way that I dress. So I went through a lot of shit based
Hmm.
on the way that I dress, because I dress freely. But because of that, I'm like, oh, okay, you think that I'm whack, but if you ain't you, then you just whack. So, which is why I put in the
Exactly.
song, right? So I'm being myself. I am so confident in myself and how I dress. I feel very much myself. The hairstyle, all this stuff, created it myself, and I'm proud. And
Yeah.
that's all that really matters, right? So it's just this mentality of like, if you're not trendy, then you're whack. And that's just false. You look at the people who are actually trendsetters, and they're doing their own thing, and that's what you follow. So are you a sheep or are you yourself?
I would say 90% are probably sheep.
And it's time that we transform them. You know, those animorphs, sheep
Yeah.
to sheep to human. You know,
Sheep to human.
You know what I
They're
mean?
frozen in the middle right now, like a fucking
Yeah,
hybrid.
exactly. They all
That's
come out with
insane.
afros. You know.
Exactly. The other thing that I really loved on this tape, I mean, so many sick verses, so many sick messages, but the distance,
Mm,
man, did you ever deliver on that song? And not only on the original, you have an acoustic version out featuring Blair Hansen. Can we maybe get a little
totally.
taste of that?
Yeah. I'll show you what we got here. Let me just set up my little sound system. Boom, boom,
Definitely. This is
boom.
that exclusive.
That exclusive. All right. I'm just gonna show like 20 seconds, but this is a little bit of the acoustic version. No matter, babe, I'ma find my way back to you. Ooh, don't you know it? Yeah. You could be about 100 away. I'll be there in a matter of time. I'll find you and then I'll find my escape. Boom.
Oh man, I didn't want you to stop playing it, dude. No, I'm just playing. No, that shit. That's so. Tell me about that, because it sounds like you're talking about. I love a song that it isn't very clear what the meaning is. It
Mhm.
sounds like you're talking about a woman, but I'm never sure.
Well, you know, it's like I think when I do a lot of my songwriting, this one was definitely freestyled. I literally just like threw on the song and then just like sang whatever I was thinking, and then things just kind of caught on. Um, but with the distance, with like any other song that I do, a lot of the time it starts with like a female protagonist, for example. Like I'm talking to a girl,
Yeah.
but there are layers to it, right? It's like I think that's kind of how I try to write in terms of like a commercial sense. Like if people just want to jam out and just think that it's about a girl, that's totally fine.
Hmm.
But we can go deeper into it, and even like if you look at the photo of like the cover of the Distance acoustic, it's just my hands tied like and bloodied, right? And it's just
Hmm.
talking about like I'd go the distance for your love. Like it doesn't matter, we're gonna find a way to get back to us, back to
Hmm.
being human, right?
Yeah.
So it really it's all interpretive. I mean, I'm coming up with this reasoning after you asked me, but I could come up with a different reasoning down the line. So honestly, the distance is this ambiguous little piece that I wanted to kind of press in. I'd go the distance for your love. It doesn't matter. I'll go the distance, and that's why that's just kind of keeps getting hammered in throughout the song.
Yes, it does. That's a good way to put it. It's very, very much emphasized, and you hear, even though it's a freestyle, you hear the passion and the emotion, and I
Mm.
maybe even more so because it's just from the heart. Yeah.
Exactly, and especially with the acoustic version, since Blair came through with just some raw guitar, I really wanted to mirror that with my raw vocals.
Yeah.
I think especially in this time, we're so hell bent on being perfect. We're
Hmm.
so hell bent on just like having everything sound just automatically perfect. But we have to keep in mind we're all human. We want to hear the imperfections. That's where the beauty lies.
Yeah.
In the false strokes. Those are the pieces that actually make a difference because it's raw, it's real, and you feel something.
I completely agree. It's like it's just like with this podcast. I've gone through my phases of doing super cut up interviews, and that's
Yeah.
basically like a press reel.
Mhm.
But that's not the way I would talk to you. If I mean, we would be talking like this.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, we do talk like this, even on the phone. I,
That's what
I
I
have to
mean.
ask you. I'm like, am I being recorded right now, or like?
Yeah, seriously. That's the thing that they say. There's no such thing as off the record with a media guy. So
Yeah.
more people should check, frankly. So
You always gotta be careful.
exactly, dude. You got to be careful. So the record is, again, I think something you should be very proud about.
Thank you.
The tape. What's next for you in terms of not only creative output, but what
Mhm.
messages are you looking forward to sharing in the future?
right now, and for a while, I'm definitely just going to be trying to be putting out some positivity, some good energy.
Nice.
I really like, I know there are people who are doing their job to, you know, spread awareness, spread a message, but especially like, for example, in times of war, there were like the Beach Boys who were just creating moments for people to just escape for a second. Okay, things are heavy right now. Let's just create some
We're going
positivity.
surfing.
We're going surfing. You know what I mean? And that's why, for example, the first single that I'm going to be dropping at the end of this month, July 28th,
Yes.
is called Hollow, and it's just kind of like a nice groove, but there is some substance to it because a while back, like as a songwriter, I was doing this thing called like a 1 song 1 day challenge. So I'd get a lot of people to send in like topics that I would sing about, and then I write it in a day, record it in a day, and then do it on live, right?
Crazy.
And one of the first ones that came through was like a simulation, how we live in it, right? So
That's pretty
then
cool.
it is cool. I'm like, okay, how do I make this so that it's not like ridiculous, you know? So that I pretty much like related it to how the world just seems so fake. People are being so fake. So why you got to be so hollow? You know what I mean? Might be my simulation. I don't know.
That's heat. Was there any that really stumped you in that challenge?
You know what? Surprisingly, maybe just one out of like the 30 that I did.
Wow.
And keep in mind, like, there's some people who literally sent their grocery list. There's someone that said, literally, someone said, I'm a fucking butterfly, motherfucker. And I'm like, all right, we're going to do a song like that. You know, I be in my cuckoo, got me just like cuckoo, you know? You know?
I love that. Oh my God. It reminds me of this segment Adam Carolla used to do called Adam Can Complain About Anything or something. And the crowd would just yell out things. And one time they yelled out tankless water heater. And he went on a 12-minute rant. I was like, that is talent right there. I like, you can complain about a tankless water heater. You're fucking gold. So if you can sing about a grocery list, I think it's safe to say that you're meant to be in this business, my friend.
Thanks, man. I mean, like, let me guess. The tankless water heaters, like, you know what grinds my gears about tankless water heaters? That they don't got no sleeves.
Yeah. I'm sure it was probably a whole variation of things like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So do you have...
Unless he actually knew what it was. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Yes. No, he probably did. So do you have a clip of the new single? Do we get a little sneak peek?
Yeah, totally. I'll let me just play a little something. We'll groove out to it. You know what? Is it cool if we just kind of like play majority? I might just like groove out.
Yeah, we can vibe out to it, man. And if there's anything else you want to add before, just let me know.
For sure. Hang on. This is Hollow. You heard it first on Cassius Morris before we drop it July 28th, because he's my homie and we got to get those exclusives.
Yes, sir. We got it.
So without further ado, this is Hollow.
Hello, my baby. You've been looking for a daisy. In the centerfold, you seem crazy. Cause we in LA. Nothing really grows here. Nah, a ghost town with no fear. Yeah, so hello, my baby. What you looking for? We get out, no intention. Might be my simulation. Why you gotta be so hollow? Why? Hollow, why? Why you gotta be so hollow? Why? Hollow, why? Why you gotta be so? Hello, my baby. Been popping them pills on the daily, trying to catch your feels since lately. Cause we in LA, Barbie paradise. Yeah, morphine ain't gon' make it right. Yeah, so hello, my baby. What you looking for? We get out, no intention. Might be my simulation. Say we stand up, get knocked out, change my station. Might be just simulation. Why you gotta be so hollow? Why? Hollow, why? Why you gotta be so hollow? Why? Hollow, why? Why you gotta be so neon dancing.
All the elbows.
With or without, we all dancing. Neon dancing. Give me the move, give me the room. Neon dancing.
Hey.
With or without, we all dancing. Neon dancing. Give me the move.
Anyway, that is a little sneak peek, a big sneak peek of Hollow.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Hold up.
I wish I had the bam, 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 bam button like fucking Funkmaster Flex. Like, hold up, this real. Man,
Land of the hyenas.
yeah, literally. You know what I mean? Man, those fucking keys, the richness of those undertones. Holy shit, dude. And that was insane.
Thanks, man. I worked together with Noah Anderson. He sent me, that was back when he sent me, I think his name Tobias as well, Tobigas. But he made the first kind of demo of that song, and then I asked him to send me the stems, and I threw on my little piece on that, filled it out, re-recorded the verse, and the rest is history. You know, we just make it sound nice and rich. You gave it a great description.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and even over Zoom in these headphones, it was hitting, and I can't wait till that comes out. Everybody has to go get this on their favorite streaming service, SoundCloud, wherever it's going to be available. YouTube, go and get this. July 28th, RUSUR is the name. Make sure to follow the Instagram account, YouTube. Where else, my man? Tell them.
Boom. You could honestly just follow me on Instagram, because that's where everything gets dropped, and then I'll link my stuff on YouTube from Instagram. I got to keep it on one spot. Got to keep everybody in one space. We got to condense this. No more 8 platforms. You know what I mean?
No, I feel you, dude. Yeah, everybody hit that Instagram, RUSUR. My man, thank you so much. It's been an honor.
You know, before we leave, though,
Absolutely.
I do want to just flex. Talking about a little flex. I want to flex just a little bit.
It's a little flex.
You know, it is a little bit of a celebration on the songwriting side. You can hear my voice rapping on Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, damn. You hit him with that?
Woo! We just hit him with that.
Shit.
I mean,
hold on a second.
I mean, the number one video game of the year. We're on it. You know, we on that like promo for the game. You hear us on the intro. Where are we? On Cyberpunk. Let's go.
Congratulations, my man. When does this come out? Do you know when it comes out?
Cyberpunk, yeah, I think Cyberpunk comes out November. But, you know, it's crazy because people have been waiting for this. I think November 17th. People have been waiting for this video game to drop for like 10 years.
Forever.
They didn't even think it was going to come out.
And you're in the
we
promo.
on that video game. We on that video game.
That is fucking
Conrad
huge,
Old
dude.
Money. Yeah, man. Conrad Old Money got that link up. We working hard. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Conrad,
go.
too, by the way. That guy's a bad motherfucker. Shout out Conrad Old Money.
Diverse. He is a revolutionary, let me tell you.
Man, I'm so happy for you guys, dude. That makes my heart so happy to see that it actually is all going through, man. And just congratulations on everything you're doing. Like, just from where I'm sitting, you're a huge inspiration to me, man. Beyond a friend, you're just a person who I see as a shining light in this world. So thank you for what you do, man, and congratulations.
I appreciate you, man. On closing notes, all I'm going to say to the people out there, it does not matter about the amount of views that you get. It's about the quality that you put out, because all you need is the one right person to see it. And what better way than putting your best foot forward? So you already know, it's RUSUR. Take care.
And there you have it. My exclusive interview with RUSUR. I want to thank RUSUR for being just such an incredible dude. Coming on the show, being his genuine self, playing some music, bringing some positivity. He never comes empty-handed in terms of positive vibes. So thank you, RUSUR, for coming on the show. I encourage everybody, again, to check out the Lil Flex tape, which is available on SoundCloud. The link is in the description here, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. The acoustic version of The Distance is the new single as well. The link to that version is also in the bio. And make sure to follow RUSUR on his official Instagram page. We have that included, of course, in the bottom as well. Why fuck around? Follow me on Twitter at Cassius Morris, Facebook.com/Cassius Show for exclusive updates and live video. Instagram at Cassius Morris _. I'm working at building that following, so please go check that out. And of course, make sure to subscribe wherever you're consuming this content right now, be it YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Podbean. The show really is available everywhere. So thank you for subscribing, rating, reviewing. If you enjoy the show, please do all those things. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, this is Cassius Morris saying, rock on.